We'll continue with our special presentations. And we have now joining us the first child, the first son of Sir Caleb Azariah Paul Southwell. He represented Constituency 1. And for those of you who may be wondering, Bradshaw, he was a representative for Constituency number 2. So I'll now invite to the podium Mr. Cardinal Poissy Southwell to bring remarks.
Before I offer greetings to my comrades, I think I want to continue with a little bit more music that's appropriate. Rock, you out there with me? Throw them out of the party, throw them out. Throw them out of the party, throw them out. Throw them out of the party, throw them out. Throw them out of the party, throw them out. Okay. Mind you, I ain't calling no name. Is it off? On? I want to thank the Labour Party for inviting me here. My brother Rudy is the one who got it all set up. He called me a couple of days ago. I started writing a speech. I got up to maybe 30, 40 pages. And I decided that 81 years of accomplishment can never, ever be brought to you in a 10 or 15-minute speech. So I decided to speak from my heart. I know a lot of people here. I say a lot of young folks, but I know a lot of people here. My father, Big Paul, as we all used to call him, was a person who believed strongly in the English language. Those of you who know him know how he spoke. Stanley Franks, who's out here, can tell you. I heard Etsu mention her name. I was one of the lucky ones. I got away with 3 names. Cardinal Averigny Poissy. The rest of them had like 12 and 13 and 14 names. And some of those names to this day, I don't know what they mean or couldn't understand what he meant by giving us those names. We lived in Prickly Pear Alley when I was just an infant. In Stanley Franks will tell you again, in his grandfather's house, a little one-room house. A lot of people don't know that. My father at the time, when he was linking up with Mr. Bradshaw, worked for a full year for the union without pay. That is commitment. And that is confidence, knowing that you're going to win. We would get food from people who would have a little breadfruit tree. They'll bring you a breadfruit. Or some people would bring you fishes. Some fishermen would give you some fish. Mr. Bradshaw loved lobster, Etsu, you know that. When we lived up Newtown, my mother would give me boiled lobsters and give me lobsters to bring to him. And when I was mad at my father, who also loved lobster, I'd take the biggest lobster and give it to Mr. Bradshaw. We got into a lot of discussions about that when he came home. Where's the big lobster? I gave it to Mr. Bradshaw. Who told you to give it to him? He said, my mother, like, I didn't tell you to give it to anybody. But the commitment that this party has had over the years is such that, and by the way, my father was born on the same day as Nelson Mandela. They share the same birthday. Just like Mr. France and Mr. Bradshaw share the same birthday. Maybe it's something about leadership with those guys. My old man and Mr. Bradshaw, I hear a lot of talk now about unity, disunity, this and that, this and that. I used to hear Mr. Bradshaw and my father in full force in discussing things. I would hear, Robert, but you can't do that. I would hear, but Paul, you have to do this. But could you imagine either one of them taking those differences on a platform with Pam? At the end of the day, when they finish, they would say, exactly what you said. We can agree to disagree, but let the consensus go forward, because this party is bigger than every single one of us. I hear a lot of talk about Dr. Douglas on the St. Kitts list. I'm one of what I call myself the rapid response team. They don't know it's a team of one. But I answer them because a lot of it is nonsense. This is a party that has people. We have a Rhodes Scholar. We have a Fulbright Scholar. We have doctors. We have accomplished lawyers. We have people who are confident in their abilities. Never mind the lady who was singing here who says that Dr. Douglas is kind of short. He's taller than all of them when he stands on his experience. None of them can compare with the experience this man has. None of them can compare with the respect that he has internationally. Just yesterday, I was coming down on a plane from Miami with a gentleman who teaches at Ross University. And we were talking about the leadership in St. Kitts and how it is reaching out internationally. St. Kitts is a place that, when I left and went to the United States in the 60s, nobody knew where St. Kitts was. Nobody knew where St. Kitts was. I'd say, I'm from St. Kitts. They would say, where is that? In Jamaica? Now, St. Kitts is well known in all international circles. The ship of state of St. Kitts is moving in the right direction. And the mutiny that we had on board, only 2 sailors were rescued by the Operation Rescue Boat, you know. Everybody else is still on this ship. So when you see the rescue ship come in, you just tell Dr. Douglas, hurry up and tack and move the other way. Because these guys, I look at them, I listen to them, I hear them, I challenge them. But I don't get the right responses. It begins to turn personal. It always turns personal. Douglas is this, Douglas is that. You're right, somebody said them their hug. It's a particular ringtone that I hear out here in St. Kitts. I must take it back with me. Because I like bacon and ham, but not from them kind of hug. You must know the history of this party that you're part of. You must know. I traveled as a very little boy. My father would take us to meetings. The union had a car, CN10, and he would take us from village to village. Now, behind a podium like this, I would be fast asleep. Mr. France, Mr. Bradshaw, Mr. Slater,
Williams, all those guys would be at these meetings, village to village. Many, many times it was the villagers who would cook food for them and feed them. And they would sit down on the floor, the ground, and eat with the people. I would come back home, and he would say, "What did you learn?" I was fast asleep, because I'm a little kid. But he made sure he took me and my late brother Rebop, and Rebop, who was probably the most mischievous out of all of us, even though he was a quiet fellow. Rebop broke just about every bones in his body. He gave my mother fits. My mom used to tell him, if he slept on the floor, he'll fall off and break his hand. Because he was always in some kind of accident. But he was a good, solid labor man. When Pam came to power in 1980, a lot of us got disfigured, disoriented, dispossessed. People who were street sweepers were fired. Fired. Just because they supported the Labour Party. People who had menial jobs were totally disoriented. The work was taken away. I know one woman who sewed just the uniforms for schools and so on. And her job, they just told her, "We don't want you anymore," without any reason. When Etsu mentioned 1967, I smiled, because standing right next to me that night at the Factory Social Center was the one person who the Labour Party kicked out. There you go. He was standing right next to me when the guns came through the decorative blocks behind the bar. And we heard gunshots. We heard gunshots. At that time I had a Hillman Husky. We didn't know what was going on until we came into town. And the word went out, there was a coup attempt. Some of the words they were saying was they're going to kill Southwell and tie him up and drag him behind a jeep through Bastille. This is true. This is not fantasy. And I don't want you to ever forget it. Because some of the evil, as Prudence says, that men do, lives a long time after them. So be very, very careful with all of this brouhaha about unity. There's no unity. They're already fighting among themselves. They can't figure out who's the leader. They cannot figure out who's the leader. And they have nothing to show you, no plan what they will do for the country. The only plan they have is to demonize Dr. Douglas. And when I challenge them, the only retort they have, you must want something. Of course I want something. I want the Labour Party to win. That's why I'm challenging you to come up with the truth. Just because you support Dr. Douglas doesn't mean you're looking to get something from him personally. The man is the leader and the prime minister of this federation. He's not just the prime minister of Labour people, he's the prime minister of Pan people. And his public policies must reflect what's best for the country. And it is. The way they're trying to beat him down is by creating in the international arena a tone or a mood whereby investors will pause and take stock and say, I wonder what's going on down there. And that can't work. It sure don't work for me. International investors, believe you me, they look at countries much differently from how these people are looking at countries. When they come to invest, they have already done their research. They know what they can and cannot do, and they know the people they're dealing with. You know, Dr. Douglas has shepherded this party and this government into a modern era. This is an 81-year-old party. Nothing looks the same for 81 years. Look at me. I'll be 69 years on Tuesday. But when I look at pictures of me when I was 24, it's totally different. Nothing stays the same for 81 years. So the man is doing what he has to do to shepherd the party into the modern era. Because without that, you're going to be left behind. The rest of the world is moving rapidly ahead. You have to keep up. So don't let people hold you back, anchor you in the past, distract you by utilizing ways and means to divide you. Ways and means to divide you. I am particularly annoyed that a representative from 3 had the gall to go up over my father's grave when he's being supported by people who wanted to kill him. I am particularly annoyed that he had the gall to go up there. I mean, there's nothing wrong if he wants to show his personal respects. That's fine. But when he goes into the political arena and then says, I still love the Labour Party. See, let me just tell my Labour comrades, what they're trying to do is create their own definition of labor. And you cannot allow that to happen. They're trying to decide who is labor and who is not labor. Well, how the heck could a PAM man decide who's labor? Can anybody in PAM tell you what constitutes labor? No. You cannot allow that. That's what they're trying to do. I hear now they're trying to form a party that they will call democratic labor. See, they still use. I guess their colors might be pink. I don't know. You see, in politics, you cannot allow other people to define you. You have to define yourself. And that is what we're doing here today. We are here to define who we are and take it out to the people and the comrades. I have full confidence in Dr. Douglas. I have met Dr. Douglas several times when he comes to New York in different meetings with different investors. I've seen how this man operates. I am not telling you anything from hearsay. I was there. The man is a professional. He's always managing the situation, and he always gives the proper information. I'm not telling you from hearsay. I have been at those meetings. Just like I have been at meetings when my father was alive. And by the way, yesterday was the 34th anniversary of his death. And I remember that day very, very well. Because it was almost 1 year to the day after his partner, Sir Robert, passed. These two men, to me, what's etched in my mind was when we attained statehood. The two of them holding on each other at Water Park, just shaking each other, because what they were saying is, we're here, we're just on the verge of it. You talk about people who had commitment and confidence in each other. When Bradshaw left to go and join the West Indies Federation, he put Paul Southwell in charge. When Bradshaw came back, Paul Southwell resigned because he knew Bradshaw was the leader of the party. There was no conflict. There was no fight. They knew each other so well, and they had so much confidence in each other that Mr. Bradshaw knew St. Kitts is in safe hands. Let's go up to Trinidad and see if we can get this federation thing going. When that fell apart and he came back home, my father said, Bob, you are the leader of the party. You are the head of the party. Because he was never not the head of the party. He just left my father in charge. You have people now who can't wait to be in charge. They can't wait to be in charge. And that is the central issue. One of them should have been the heir apparent, but allowed himself to be seduced by Operation Rescue. Allowed himself to be seduced and suckered into a situation now. He's really in a monkey pants now. He can't get out of it. He's really in a monkey pants now. Because up there in 3, he's really in a pickle. He's really in a pickle. If I didn't have to come here today, I would have been at that meeting, so-called meeting they're having in New York, asking some tough questions. Not disrespectful as they tried to do to the Prime Minister in Toronto. I monitor that as well, and I keep them in line. Because traitors, there's a story about cardboard horns. When you're trying to figure out whether you're a ram goat or not, one guy, a sheep, put on cardboard horns, and then the rain start to fall and the horns flap down, and you say, you ain't a ram goat, get off the boat. You see? You have the nucleus, and you are the continuation of 81 years of a party that went from where we were, how we got there, to where we are going now. Where we are going now are securely in the hands of Dr. Douglas. Where we were was years ago. How we got there was Bradshaw, Franz, Southwell, and the others. That's how we laid the platform and the groundwork. We laid everything out in place, including all this development over here in Frigate Bay. All of this was Big Paul's idea. He is the father of modern tourism in St. Kitts. If Ricky Skerritt were here, Ricky would tell you, because Ricky practically grew up in my mother's house with me. Ricky was one of the guys who used to come and stay with us, and because, his mother had passed away, my mom used to nurture him. And Ricky would tell you now, as tourism minister, he can see the platform and the roadway ahead that was laid out for him. Don't let anybody take that away from you. As Cecil Rock, my good friend, would say, tell them stay in their lane. Don't cross over. Stay in your lane. We have so many people here who I haven't seen in quite a number of years, and I don't want to take up a whole lot of your time, but I just want to tell you, as you go through your selection and you're voting today, think about where the party came from. Think about how it got there, and think about keeping your prayers and your faith and your full confidence in the leadership of Dr. Douglas. Just end by saying, throw them out of the party, throw them out.
Throw them out of the party. Throw them out. God bless.